He was just a child, small, unnoticed by most, but carrying a heart bigger than the world around him. On an ordinary day, walking the same cracked sidewalks he always did, he saw something no one else stopped to see. A young girl, motionless on the cold pavement. She wasn't just anyone, she was the daughter of one of the richest men in the city. And yet, in that moment, her life rested in the hands of a boy society often ignored. Why him? Why there? And what happened next would reveal more than anyone expected. The boy's name was Malik. Barely 10 years old, he grew up in a neighborhood where opportunity was scarce, but resilience was everywhere. His days were filled with cracked sidewalks, faded murals, and the sound of traffic rushing past a community too often overlooked. Malik had learned early that people like him, poor, black, and invisible to the powerful, rarely got noticed, let alone respected. On this particular day, Malik was on his way back from a corner store, clutching a loaf of bread for his grandmother. It should have been an ordinary walk, the kind he made countless times before. But fate had other plans. Across the street, lying still on the unforgiving concrete, was a girl about his age. Her clothes were expensive, her hair neatly tied, and the shine of her shoes told a story of privilege Malik could hardly imagine. Her chest rose weakly, and her lips looked pale. She wasn't just unconscious, she looked like she was slipping away. For a moment, Malik froze. People walked past, glancing briefly before turning their eyes away. No one stopped. Maybe they thought someone else would handle it. Maybe they didn't care. But Malik couldn't move on. Something inside him, a mixture of fear and compassion, pushed him to act. He didn't know who she was, but he knew her life was worth saving. That decision would pull him into a world far bigger than his own. Because the girl lying helpless before him wasn't just anybody, she was the daughter of one of the city's most powerful billionaires. Malik's small hands shook as he pulled out the old, scratched phone he carried for emergencies. His grandmother always told him to use it wisely, and this moment was nothing short of that. Kneeling beside the girl, he checked if she was breathing. She was, but it was shallow. Every second counted. Around him, people passed, their eyes sliding over the scene as if the girl's life wasn't their problem. Malik felt anger burning inside. How could they ignore her? Didn't they see she needed help? In his neighborhood, he had seen too many times how people looked away when it was a black child in need. Now he realized the truth, sometimes people looked away no matter who was suffering. On instinct, Malik scrolled through her phone, which had fallen nearby. The lock screen revealed her name, Samantha, and a number labeled Dad. His heart raced. Could he really call him? Would anyone believe him? Still, Malik pressed the button. A deep voice answered, impatient, commanding. Malik's words tumbled out, "Your daughter, she's unconscious." On the street. The line went silent for a moment. Then came disbelief. Then urgency. The man demanded details, his tone sharp but cracked with fear. As Malik stayed on the line, waiting, he noticed stares. Some people watched him suspiciously, as though he had caused the girl's collapse. A man muttered, "What's that kid doing with her phone?" Another woman whispered, "Probably up to no good." Their eyes pierced Malik with judgment, branding him guilty before they even knew the truth. His chest tightened. He wanted to shout, to tell them he was trying to save her. But the weight of a lifetime of prejudice pressed down. He kept quiet, clutching the phone, focusing only on Samantha's faint breaths. Minutes felt like hours. The sound of sirens finally grew closer, echoing through the streets. Relief washed over him, help was coming. Yet, as the ambulance neared, Malik noticed the looks had hardened. The whispers grew louder. And for the first time, he wondered, would they see him as the boy who saved her, or the boy who hurt her? The ambulance screeched to a halt, and medics rushed toward Samantha. Malik stepped back, still clutching the phone, waiting for someone to take over. But before they could even begin their work, a sleek black car pulled up. Out stepped a tall man in a tailored suit, his face twisted with fear, the billionaire father. His eyes darted between his daughter and Malik. And in that instant, Malik saw it, suspicion. The man's glare wasn't one of gratitude but of accusation. "What happened here?" he barked, his voice echoing off the concrete. Heads turned. Fingers pointed. Some voices muttered, "That boy had her phone." Others added, "Looks suspicious." Malik's heart pounded. He wanted to explain, to tell the man that he had called for help, that he was the reason Samantha was still alive. But the billionaire's eyes cut through him like steel. All Malik could see in that gaze was the same prejudice he had felt his whole life, judgment without truth, blame without evidence. The medics lifted Samantha onto a stretcher, checking her vitals. She was weak but alive. Yet the billionaire barely looked at her. His attention was fixed on Malik, the small black boy everyone seemed ready to accuse. The air thickened with tension. Malik's breath came shallow. For a moment, it felt like the world had turned against him. He had tried to do the right thing, yet here he stood, seen not as a hero, but as a suspect. The sirens wailed louder as more people gathered, cameras flashing, phones recording. Malik stood frozen, waiting for the next move, terrified of what this powerful man might do or say. And in that instant, Malik realized, saving Samantha's life might cost him his own future. But then, something unexpected happened. One of the medics, who had been there from the start, stepped forward. "Sir," she said firmly, "this boy is the reason your daughter is still breathing. He called you. He stayed with her. Without him, she might not have made it." The billionaire froze, his expression shifting as if the ground beneath him had cracked. He looked at Malik again, this time, really looked. Not through the lens of wealth or suspicion, but through the truth of what had just happened. Silence swept through the crowd. The whispers died down. People who moments ago had doubted Malik now avoided his gaze, ashamed of their assumptions. Malik stood quietly, his small frame shaking, not from guilt but from the weight of injustice he had nearly been crushed under. The billionaire bent down, eyes wet with something unfamiliar, gratitude. "Thank you," he whispered, barely audible. But Malik knew those words carried more weight than the man would ever admit. As the ambulance doors closed and Samantha was rushed away, Malik was left standing in the middle of the street, the world still spinning around him. He didn't feel like a hero. He didn't feel celebrated. Instead, he felt the raw truth of what had just unfolded. Even when you do the right thing, prejudice can make you invisible, or worse, guilty. But his actions had saved a life. That could never be erased. And maybe, just maybe, the billionaire and those who witnessed it would carry this moment forward, a reminder that humanity doesn't come from wealth, or skin color, or power. It comes from courage, compassion, and choosing to act when no one else will. So the question remains, how many more Maliks will it take before society finally learns to see people for who they are, and not for what the world assumes them to be?